Give me one word to describe the 2026 elections that we've just concluded.
They were successful.
What is your measure of success?
One, that polling took place in all the polling stations across the country. The voters were willing to come and express themselves and exercise their constitutional rights. We are given an opportunity to do so. The candidates who had offered themselves and they were on the ballot papers were able to be voted for, right from the office of the president, members of parliament, leaders of the various positions at local government level. And as we talk now, a new government is in office. So the elections were successful.
At what cost?
At what cost? Well, elections are quite expensive, as you know that. Democracy is not cheap, particularly in the Ugandan context, where the general elections comprises of various elective positions. You have, for example, the presidential elections, which is one position. You have elections for members of parliament, which are over 300 plus. You have local government elections. You have special interest groups elections, right from the village level up to the national level. So elections in Uganda, but in the most parts of the world, are quite expensive. That is a given.
Expensive financially, yes.
Yes.
Because we have so many elective positions, over 2 million,
Yes.
2026, over 2 million elective positions.
Yes.
Financially expensive, yes. But otherwise, it's also been extremely costly on the minds of the people. Politically, it has cost them.
Well, I don't know.
And many of them have the Electoral Commission to blame.
I don't know how to quantify or qualify that kind of cost you're talking about. But what I know, that under Article 1 of the Constitution, the power belongs to the people of Uganda. And they have a right to express this power by choosing leaders of their choice in a free and fair election, which did take place. Obviously, in any election, there are those who lose, those who are happy, and those who don't get happy. You will expect that in any election. But by and large, the question is, at what stage is the country after this election? Because we have seen in some countries, after an election, the country erupts into violence, chaos, and mayhem. But in the case of Uganda, we have stability, so to speak. So that's why I say that even in the terms of cost on the, should we say, the human psyche, I think it was a successful election. Those who are not satisfied, fortunately, they have taken the right course. They have taken the right course by going to the courts of law. We wait to hear how the courts are going to handle these petitions and determine the fate of those who have taken the petitions to court.
For a very long time, I've been meaning to ask this question.
Yes.
Whether your task is just completing the electoral process or having an election that every Ugandan is proud of.
Yeah, definitely. You see, the two must go hand in hand. You must complete an election in line with Article 61, Clause 2 of the Constitution, because that article is very specific and unambiguous. It says the Electoral Commission shall hold general elections for presidential, parliamentary, local government in the first 30 days of the remaining 122 days of the expiry of the term of office. So that one is very, very critical. You must hold those elections within that timeline. And therefore, holding an election, that one is a constitutional requirement. Two, you must hold an election that is free and fair. What is a free and fair election? It is not defined anywhere in the Constitution or any act of parliament. It's the courts which have tried to define what a free and fair election is. It is a sum total of so many components. One, the candidates must be identified. Did we have candidates in 2026? Yes. Do we always have candidates in our elections in Uganda? Yes. Secondly, the voters, the eligible voters, must be given an opportunity to register and to vote from polling stations of their choice. Did we do that? Yes, we did. Thirdly, the political parties must be given space to identify their flag bearers, which was done. Even the independent candidates, those who are not vying for any who do not belong to any political party, must be given an opportunity also to contest. Then, were the voters given opportunity to hear their candidates through the campaigns? That was done. Did the security people play their role in ensuring law and order was upheld or maintained? Yes. Did the Electoral Commission execute their mandate in line with what is required of them under the law? Yes, we did that. So the aspect of a free and fair election, therefore, is a composition of so many players. And that's why we say in this country, when elections don't go the way they are supposed to, or if there are any challenges or issues on the election, don't blame the Electoral Commission per se. Look at the various actors and players in this electoral process and identify. When we talk of violence at a campaign rally, who was responsible for that violence? Who perpetrated this violence? When you talk of bribing voters, who is responsible for bribing voters? When we talk of using inciting rhetoric or language, who uses that inciting language to the public?
Why are you excluding, as Electoral Commission, yourself from the process?
Now, I'm not excluding. I'm only saying that when you're looking at the composition of what a free and fair election entails, you'll find there are so many players, there are so many actors. Granted, even for us as Electoral Commission, if in the execution of what we are required to do, there are certain shortcomings, then we identify those and attribute them to the Commission. But what I want to disabuse is this concept or notion that whatever goes wrong in an election, the Electoral Commission has failed in its duty. No, we are not responsible for bribing voters. We are not responsible for holding processions along roads when we have said no processions along roads.
But you have the mandate to stop that.
We do, using the Uganda Police Force, which is supposed to maintain law and order. We do, and we have always done that. We have always worked with the Uganda Police Force. We have always pointed out to them what their expected role in this electoral process is and how they should go about it, and therefore we should ensure that at the end of it all, this country must remain stable, must remain peaceful, because an election comes and goes, but the people of Uganda and the activities that they do, which are so important to themselves, will remain.
So the attitude of the Electoral Commission is accept or go to court. Accept what we have declared. Absolutely. Or go to court.
But in a democratic dispensation, where the country runs and is governed by the rule of law, any grievance, either me against Canary or whoever, I have to resort to the courts of law. Even an election, that's why the laws are very clear. They are quite explicit that in the event one is not satisfied with the outcome of an electoral process, go to the courts of law. And I want to commend all those who have gone to the courts of law. You have done well. That's what we should do.
But you know, as Electoral Commission, you're party to each and every petition.
Oh yeah. But you see, Canary, if you look at actually some of these grounds, you wonder how did the Electoral Commission, what wrong the Electoral Commission do in this instance? For instance, some of the grounds are bribery of voters. What role does the Electoral Commission play in bribery of voters? The other one is lack of academic qualifications. What role does the EC play in this person having qualifications which are shoddy or shambolic? Or the other one is maybe the Electoral Commission did not conduct the elections in accordance with the law. Then what aspect of the law did the Electoral Commission not comply with?
Because the thinking is when there are reported arbitrary arrests, when there are reported intimidation and all the concerns, that the Electoral Commission is expected to step up and say, enough is enough, this is what an election should look like.
Well, it depends at what...
So the silence of the Electoral Commission sometimes is questionable.
No, Canary, you see, whatever step the Electoral Commission takes, whatever action it initiates, it must be grounded in the law. What the law does not permit us or empower us to do, we cannot do it. For instance, at what stage is a complaint being raised by a candidate or any voter? So that one is very important, because the Constitution says that the Electoral Commission shall entertain any complaint about an alleged irregularity concerning any electoral process before and during polling. After polling, after the results have been declared or announced by the Electoral Commission, our hands are tied. And you'll notice they are quite